Good morning. Welcome to Retro Toy Princess. I am Allison Troy, and my very special guest today in his internet live stream YouTube debut is Mint with Card.
Hello.
Welcome. I'm
Thank you.
excited to have you here.
I'm excited to be here.
And let's see, really quick, Gatey's Toys in chat, as is CJ. Hello, CJ. Boba Hicks, welcome. Lovely to see you. And Derek Hoover. And it's really super exciting. Yeah, no, wait, this one. Exactly. So myself, Derek Hoover, and Andrew, Gatey's Toys, sort of all met up in the Geek Dad Life chat. And that's how we all kind of met you. So
Yes. Yeah, that is where I found most of you guys, was through Geek Dad Life.
So you are now officially like a spinoff of Geek Dad Life. So,
he's had so many spinoffs, right?
yeah, well, it's a good, in my humble opinion, it's a really good state of a community that so many people who have so long term hung out watching Geek Dad Life and been on chats and like Discord and all the things that we all sort of, after all these years, we're still willing to make content, put it on the internet and hang out and be friends. So, you know. And it all started with the stupid debate. So,
I remember that one.
oh, good time. Right, we all stop and remember the debate. Yeah. Welcome to Thunder Joe. I just watched Furiosa, the prequel to Mad Max, what was it, Fury Road or whatever. I quite liked it. So everyone told me it was terrible. I waited. It was not terrible. It just isn't very Mad Max like. It's way more cinematic, like in a Ben-Hur sort of way. So anyway, again, I digress. So anyway, let's get the official part of this out of the way. So Mint with Card, how is it that you ended up on YouTube making content?
So I think it all started during the COVID era. I had watched everything on Netflix and Disney Plus and HBO Max, and the only thing left was to start watching YouTube. And I don't know how it happened, but a Geek Dad Life video popped up in my recommendations, and I'm like, I'll check him out. He was very funny. I was like, okay. Went down his rabbit hole, found out he does live streams on Sundays, and then just that's where it all started.
Excellent. And then I've been watching your channel. Everyone should be watching your channel. If you're not, let me find the link so I can drop that in chat. It is in the description of this video if you're watching it. But I'm going to drop the link. Everyone go subscribe to Mint with Cards channel. So I know what you collect, but what all do you collect?
So for me, the main thing is the Masters of the Universe Origins. And I have my different offshoots, tangents that I go on. There's some G.I. Joe Classified. There's some Thundercats, Silverhawks, pretty much all of the big properties that were popular back in the 80s.
And so I assume that's when you started collecting, was like the 1980s?
For me, it was probably 1980.
Okay.
The first movie that I ever saw in theaters was The Empire Strikes Back, and that was it for me. I was Star Wars all the way, and Mom bought all the toys for Christmas and then on. And then no more Star Wars. And so we moved on to something else. I dabbled in GoBots, Transformers, G.I. Joe, and then He-Man came along and I was like, yep, this is the one.
Yeah. Well, when you come back, we'll do some GoBots.
Oh, yes.
Because I just finished scanning one of my vintage Go Bot books. So yeah, we'll
Yeah.
do that.
And then when we were released back into the wild, I would go to our local Target and I would see the Masters of the Universe figures hanging on the shelf. And I was like, no, not going to do it. No, not going to. And then finally one day they had a Fisto hanging on the shelf. And I was like, that's it.
Fisto.
Yep.
Oh, Fisto. So many things we could say about Fisto. And most of them we've said at the Eagle, I'm sure.
For sure.
Really quick. Hello, Alex. Black Phoenix has joined the chat. Lovely to see you this morning. And exactly, Angie, the only community where you can say wife's laptop and we know exactly. Yeah, exactly. And then where was yes, it was. I don't know. I just heard about. Again, I'm excited for Superman, and everyone whose opinion I trust has been saying really good things about Superman. So I can't wait to go see that. So also Ben Shapiro hated it, which means it's got to be great. Because Ben Shapiro can't even get his wife wet. So like, why would we? If he doesn't like a movie, it's got to be good.
Yep.
All right, so so when did the adult toy collecting start? Just
It started with that one Fisto figure, and I was like,
yeah,
I'm just gonna buy one,
just the one.
and I probably did that for about a month, and then we would go back to the store, and I'd be like, okay, maybe one more. Okay, maybe one more, and then I was like, now I got to collect them all.
Yeah,
And we moved into a new house, which allowed me the opportunity to have my own office.
yeah.
And I was like, oh, the things I'm gonna do. And yeah, and just yesterday, I actually took down my personal office and rebuilt it for today's stream. I was like,
Excellent.
I want to do some different stuff. I need a different setup.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did yesterday. And then today I'm here
Oh,
coloring with you.
it looks really good behind you. I like all of the figures. Like I'm enjoying the setup, so it's cool to see.
Thank you.
And I like your. I asked you about this in the comments of a video, so everyone can go and read that comment about what I asked you about your cool Snake Mountain background. So everyone go subscribe and watch some videos. But yeah, I like the Snake Mountain backdrop that you have. It's very cool. And anyone who wants to know the origin will go watch your channel and find the video. And if you find the video and you watch it, take a screenshot and send it to me on Instagram or Blue Sky. And I will get an address. If you can find the first person to send me a screenshot of that, I will send you something. What will I send you? I don't know. I'll send something. I have extra coloring books, like I've got duplicates, I've got extra toys. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Whoever sends it on, I have an idea what most of you are into, so I will find something specific to you, or maybe I'll color a page and send you an original page or something. Whatever it is, it'll be individualized to whoever first sends me the screenshot. Which is a good way to get you some watch time. You don't have to watch a couple videos to find the comments. So get you some subscribers and some watch time. But yeah. So right now, I know this because I watch your channel. You're going pretty deep right now on Masters of the Universe Origins. Like currently, who is your favorite? Because I know the Snake Men have taken over, and it's not everyone's cup of tea. But
yeah, I think I have Snake Men fatigue. I get it; they're awesome. I love them. I will pick them up, but I'm like, enough already.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so I think right now I just did a review of the Masterverse Blade figure from the 1987 movie,
that's.
and that's probably top on my list right now.
See, I'm not doing a ton of Masterverse, and like, I'm really torn about. Like, I have the movie Evil Lyn because I get every Evil Lyn and every Tila. Because I do predominantly. That's kind of other than Power of the Force and DC superheroes. How I got into adult collecting was I wanted to start building a shelf of cool female action figures. Um, so and the J that meant, so when 2000 X came out, I only bought Tila and Evil and I didn't buy the rest of them. So, for Masterverse, I have all of the Princess of Power, I have all of the Tilas, I think I'm missing the Tri-Sorceress, one of the Tilas that they did. I'm missing the Snake Goddess Tila in Masterverse. Which eventually I'll get her. It's just getting around to it. Moving has eaten up there's a bunch of stuff I realized recently I missed. So I did not get Blade, and I'm kind of kicking myself for it, but I also feel like that one will, once it releases, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to find him. Either at I think, because a couple places, the pre-order it's still showing us pre-order, so.
Yeah.
But I'll get one at some point. I'm also holding out hope they'll do the 87 movie in Origins next year when the new movie hits. So, fingers crossed. Because I know they're going to do 2000 X in Origins, which means we'll get a proper 2000 X Evil Lyn instead of just that lame repaint they gave us before. And we'll get a 2000 X Tila. But that's this year. So next year when the movie hits, it to me makes the most sense. That's when you would do Origin style 87 movie figures, sort of to tie it all in.
Yeah.
So hopefully. Really quick, I forgot to ask, what are you coloring today?
Oh, so I have Castaspella.
Ooh.
She was probably my favorite from the She-Ra cartoon.
Yeah.
And I know you like her
Yep.
in her doll color form.
I do, yeah.
I like her in the blues and gold.
Well, everyone gets to like what they get to like. Well, originally that was the color the figure was going to be, but then they did the marketing and the little girls were like, we want girl colors. And that's how the toy colors happen. So anyone who wonders, originally, that's why a lot of the style guide has them in the original sort of the Filmation colors, is because originally that was closer to the colors that they were going to have for a lot of the figures. Go figure. Did you have any did you have Princess of Power figures when you were a kid, or was that sort of not gonna happen? I know Andrew had a few. There were lines.
Yeah, I actually was able to convince my mom that because She-Ra was He-Man's sister,
Got it.
I had to have them
Oh, good.
because they're not technically girl toys.
Exactly.
And my mom was like, okay, sure.
Sure. I think a lot of little boys, a lot of the girls, the gays and the days back in the day, you had some where the parents were not falling for it, but I think a lot of little kids got She-Ra toys who normally wouldn't have gotten dolls because of that exact reason. So, way to start breaking the doors down for non-gendered toys, Mattel. While being one of the most gendered toy companies ever.
Ever, right?
She-Ra only came because boys' toys and girls' toys were like, oh no, you don't. Not today, Satan. We're the only one making dolls here. Yeah. Yeah, the Masterverse new attorney at Evelyn is really good. I need to open mine, but just through the box, she's like epic. So, aw, I could probably. Okay, like, do you mean Do you mean completed pages or do you mean blank? I can I can get you pages to print out for Henry if you need those. So let me know. Uh, 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 uh. Yeah, the new Attorney of Stratos is one of the ones I kind of thought about just so I could cannibalize them to customize an Origins. And then the price blew up. I'm like, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. And then CJ can relate to the toy stuff. So, but yeah, it's interesting. Like, I think we hear a lot of stories about like, oh, She-Ra killed He-Man because boys didn't want to go to the girls aisle or whatever, and it's like that's not what happened. Stop trying to protect your feelings. What happened is Mattel shipped too much product, and among the too much product they shipped was She-Ra, because She-Ra is a He-Man spinoff line. So if you send too much She-Ra stuff and too much He-Man stuff, that's going to all kill the line because you've extended the line too far beyond what the market can support. So, but some people have to, going back to biblical times, you got to blame somebody, blame a woman. Like, sir, he took that apple. He could have put that apple. He didn't have to eat that apple. Like, he made the choice. He ate it. Stop blaming the wife. She's just trying to feed him. You're always so hungry. You always complain about my cooking. Here, have this apple. It's really good. You'll like it. Or maybe she was like, this apple is only for smart people, and he snatched it out of her hand. I think that's probably what happened. You're not smart enough to eat this apple. And he was like, bitch, give me my apple. So, anyway. Not to trash talk Adam and Eve. They don't need me piling on. Yeah, the meteor orbs, exactly. For me, that was what really killed the line. I remember we went to the store and there were like 30 of them. I think it's more like 15, but there were like 15 and they all hit at the same time. It's not like it was spread out over a couple waves or whatever, a couple years. It was like one day we went to the store and there were 15 meteor orbs, different ones. Like, we didn't collect all of those because there was just no way. It was like, what the hell? It's like the rock people. And I know there are people who I've come to appreciate Rock On and Stondar, but as a kid, that was kind of like the year where I was like, these are kind of lame. And it's like the year the movie came out, I was really sad that there wasn't like a movie Evelyn and a movie Tila, that it was just, it's like, look, it's Geldor, it's Blade, it's Sauron, it's the Evelyn you've had for like 5 years now. Here, Thunder Punch He-Man, he's cool, right? Right? So, yeah, because we left the theater disappointed because that was not a great movie. It's grown on me in the years since, but in the day, not a fan. And we went straight to KB Toys thinking they would have action, and they had the 3. And I was like, I'm good. My mom's like, no, you need a meteor orb. You want the lion, right? So I had 2 meteor orbs. She bought me the stupid robot and the robot, Mom. The robot. Of all the meteor orbs, you get me the robot. I've got GoBots already. But yeah, she got me the lion and the robot guy. And then my brother got the gorilla and the rock people.
I had the bear.
Okay, yeah, that tracks. Sorry, I was just like.
No, it does. It tracks.
It tracks. Hello, Sight Beyond Sight. Hello. And hello, Chris Plastic. All right. All right, cool. We've caught up. Sorry, I was just like, oh, I can't let that one go. Sorry. I can't let that joke. I can't let the moment. The audience would have not appreciated it if we had just,
Yep.
You got to give the people the humor. So yeah. And I also know this because I watched your video. Everyone go watch the videos. That you sort of with Star Wars were kind of done at episode 1.
Yeah, I was kind of part of that group of people who saw episode 1 and walked out going, that's not my Star Wars. And then over the years, I've come to appreciate it. And I'm like, yeah, that one's not for me, but I can appreciate who it's for.
I think Phantom Menace. I enjoyed it because I say this all the time, so this is no surprise to anyone. I just like Star Wars. Like, you can pretty much give me any Star Wars, and I'm going to enjoy it in the moment. And I'm always going to enjoy the newest Star Wars. I'm not a huge fan of The Mandalorian, but I liked it in the moment. Like, it was when we got The Mandalorian, I was just excited to have new Star Wars. Watched them, enjoyed them, and then as it settled in, I'm like, it's not. I'm not as into this. Because that's how it works. You watch something, and you just let yourself enjoy it, and then you later make a determination. Unless it's the music of Moby, and then right away you're just like, this is the worst. But I quite liked episode 1. I mean, it's definitely got some shortcomings that become for me more clear as the prequel trilogy happens. And there are definitely ways if George Lucas had hired me to ghostwrite Phantom Menace, there are a lot of things I would have changed. But he didn't. I'll just have to, at some point, find my old fan fiction and post it anonymously, so that nobody knows it's me. But I liked. I'm probably one of the few people who liked Attack of the Clones. I did not like the romance. The romance made no sense. I think for me, though, with the prequels, the big issue is I feel like there are so many lost opportunities that Lucas didn't take, that are there in the script. Like, like the whole, like, it would have made way more sense if there had been an actual love triangle between Obi-Wan, Padme, and Anakin, because the age appropriateness between Padme and Obi-Wan, like they're maybe 7, 8 years apart, something like that. I mean, allegedly Obi-Wan is still like a teenager in the first movie, even though Ewan McGregor was a little older. But that's what I always thought they were setting up, was like a love triangle. And that Padme was actually in love with Obi-Wan. And then for political reasons, her and Anakin got married. And she, sort of came to appreciate him. And that's how the twins were born. And like the setting, like the groundwork for that is in those movies. And for whatever reason, Lucas just didn't do it. And so, go figure. Anyway. Yes, people, we're calling Princess of Power, but
Talking Star Wars.
It's typical. This is how it works.
Yep.
If we were coloring Star Wars, we would be talking Princess of Power. But this is also Mint with Cards' first time on here. We have to sort of cover all the bases. All right, so obviously we know that you're on the right side of history and that you prefer GoBots to Transformers. Good.
Yeah, I remember my grandmother bought me Scooter,
Ooh, he's so good.
and she brought it home and she was like, "Here, I bought you a Transformer," and I'm like, "This is not a Transformer, Grandma." But I was just like, "Oh, this is so cool," and I loved. Yeah, I loved it.
People overlook, or I think this is part of why they don't actually like GoBots. GoBots were easier to transform. You were less likely to break it transforming, unlike Transformers, and they were affordable.
Yep.
If I hit this service merchandise where I grew up, I forever would put them on sale, and it would be like you could get 3 for like $10. And then when they started clearancing them all, it was like $2 each. At one point, they were down to 50 cents each. I had all the GoBots, and they had it in a big dump bin. So like we would just go and I'd make my dad and my brother and my mom like, we have to find Spacey. And Mom would be like, let's go. You want the limousine? I'm like, yes, but we also need Spacey. They're cheap. I had like 8 of those GoBot plastic cases, and they were all full. And I still had to get another box for my GoBots because service merchandise. So, we even had a super GoBot, one of the big ones. Because again, service merchandise clearance did all. I was like, I don't like that character, but it's only $3 and it's one of the big ones. Can I have it? God, we were spoiled. Anyway.
Those were the best times when you would go to KB and they'd have the big dump bins with clearance stuff. You're like, dude. And you'd have to plead with your mom, please, it's only $1.
Well, one, Chris Plastic just dropped the truth. The way his YouTube channel is set up, he can't be gifted a membership. So every week Chris. It's too late, Andrew. GoBots has happened, and it's going to continue to happen, no matter how weird the rights are and how technically they're Transformers now. Look, here's what I'm going to say, Andrew. Go back and watch a couple episodes of GoBots and focus on Crasher, because Crasher is what Transformers, the cartoon, was sorely lacking, a sassy bitch. Like, Crasher was prime villainess of the 80s. Like, she stomped her feet, sent some electrical things. She could outrace all the boys. She was a Lamborghini. I mean, like, that's who Britney Spears is singing about when she's like, you want a Lamborghini? Be hot in a bikini. That's literally Crasher. Like, that whole song is about Crasher. So, now you know. So I think that was honestly the other half of why I liked GoBots, was there were girls. Like, I could actually go buy girls. So if a toy line didn't have a girl in it, it could suck good. Which is why I never really I did have the Secret Wars. I had Kang and Baron Zemo, but those are only because those were villains for Superpowers Wonder Woman. I had Baron Zemo stand in as one of the Yahtzees that Wonder Woman would fight in the comic books. Because we can't say that word on stream or they'll eat it. And I just use Kang as Ares, God of War. So. But that's the only superpowers. My brother had the rest of them. And you know what? His Dr. Octopus, all of his arms broke off within a week. So my mom hot glued him back on. And let me tell you, it didn't work. All right. So we have covered toys. Let's see. Within what you're comfortable sharing on the internet, what kind of work do you do?
So I work for the state.
Okay.
Which is my Monday through Friday job.
Excellent.
Yes. And Yeah, I get to work from home, which is amazing.
Excellent.
And yeah,
Nice. I work from home as well. It's quite excellent.
it's a lot of boring sending emails, reading emails, the usual office job stuff.
Uh-oh. I think we just won. Yeah, that was, I think somebody sent me that and I was like, ooh, that's, oh. Yeah, see, exactly. Ooh. Well, if you're going to binge a show, Buffy is good.
There you go.
I'm curious for the reboot how they're going to handle that. Did you ever watch Buffy?
Not Die Hard, but I've seen enough episodes. I say,
Yeah,
okay.
it's kind of one of those shows in our age because we're obviously about the same age based on toys and stuff. But in that our particular age group, because it was before streaming and it was CW. No, it wasn't. It was No, was it? Yeah, it was still WB. It was WB. Then they moved to Paramount, and then Paramount and WB combined and became the CW. So Buffy ended up, I think, back on the WB. Ah, the 90s. But at that time, like, it was really hard to watch every episode in certain areas because not everyone got the CW, WB, whatever it was that week. And yeah, it was just different, especially in your 20s. Sometimes you're out at the club.
And you don't know how to program a VCR to record it.
I see. This is why I watched as much Buffy as I did. I worked at Blockbuster for years, so I knew how to fix videotapes. I had a side gig where I had a couple side gigs when I worked at Blockbuster using Blockbuster equipment. But if like your home video broke, I could fix it. So I fixed a lot of porn. Because like porn was expensive and people didn't want to throw it away. You spent like $80 on a tape that you like. So I would charge $5 to fix porn. A little bit more if it was weird, freaky stuff. Like if I felt like I have to touch this, it was $10. And $10 in 1990s, that was like 2 Power of the Force figures. It's still 2 Power of the Force figures. But back then it was also 2 Power of the Force figures. And then we had the shrink wrap machine, so people would go and buy like PlayStation because it was when they were in those long boxes still that were shrink wrapped, and I was really good at shrink wrapping, so I would charge them $5 because they could then take it and exchange it as new or get their money back. So yep, got a lot of side hustles. That was how I afforded everything on a Blockbuster salary. Well, that, and there was a very nice man I dated when I lived in Austin. Oh, you should take me to dinner. That would be great. Oh my God, let's stop at Tower. Oh my God, you should buy the CD for me. We can listen to it in your car. Now take me home. But yeah. So, but yeah, that was one of the ways, fixing VCR tapes and shrink wrapping, so people could screw Walmart over with turning a game they played for the weekend and didn't like. Oh, the 90s. Back when you could own video games. They weren't just downloads that didn't work. Let's see. Ta-da-da. Oh, yeah. I bet the GoBots lunchbox is pretty good. Well, there you go, Andrew. I thought you were going to say that you sold something that rhymes with gas. But I forget that was how you bought your wardrobe. So no, so some fun times. I don't know, the 90s, like I miss the 90s, but I don't miss the 90s. Like the year I turned 30, I had a big like I survived my 20s party. We went bowling. I drank way too many Long Island iced teas. And one of my exes was at the party, and we got into an argument, which was a further reminder of how I had survived my 30s. I'm not going to say I threw that bowling ball at him because I think that's still a felony and still punishable by law. But I will say that that bowling ball did fly out of my hands toward him. So luckily I was pretty wasted and not very strong. That was how I got kicked out of the bowling alley on my 30th birthday after 6 Long Island iced teas. And if you've never had a bowling alley Long Island iced tea, let me tell you, it's like having 7 Long Island iced teas in one at your typical club. Because most clubs will well, some clubs don't. Some bars will not water your drink down, but a lot of them do. So, memories. Anyhow, the five finger discount. Yeah. I'm not gonna ask Alex. I'm gonna assume though. Yeah, I'm gonna. I feel like that was intentional, sir. Andrew, sir, you've gotten the 5 finger discount. Oh, oh, Alex, I adore you. Oh, it's so early in the day that there's so many jokes I'm not saying, but we're all there for them. So, well, I know you were, but at the same time, it works on so many levels, you guys.
Right.
It works. Anyway, so yeah, I'm doing this glimmer page.
Like, so I'm coloring Glimmer.
I'm coloring Glimmer, and I'm doing everything in the background purple so that she'll stand out. I've done a version of this for one of my color and chill videos. Well, it's because this is technically a 2-page spread, but there's another because a lot of the early coloring books they would reuse some of the art. And this is from a copy I bought from Retro Reprints of a different coloring book. Because I'm like, I am not scanning mine. It takes a lot of work to scan a coloring book and then clean it up. I'm like, if I can spend some money at like this place and like they will send me, like I get a PDF and it's all cleaned up and gorgeous. That's what and then I just print the whole book. And then when I was printing, I'm like, I've already done this Glimmer. Damn it. I should have checked. But then I put it in the file of like when I have a guest. And then you were like, you wanted to color Princess of Power. I'm like, I could do that Glimmer finally. Because I've got a form of OCD where it's like, I know that this page was sitting there uncolored in a file, mocking me for the waste of natural resources, time, and energy. And I'm like, it's got to get colored. The world will end if I don't color it. So whenever the world ends this year, guys, it's because I did not get to all of those pages. It's my fault. Oh. Wait. Okay. I'm coloring with Prismacolor as always. What are you coloring with, James?
So, I am using good old tried and true Crayola.
Oh, nice.
Colored pencils.
There's people, I don't know if you know this, it's sort of an art tube. There are people, color pencil, adult coloring art tube. There are a lot of people who sort of make fun of those Crayola pencils, but they're actually, as far as budget pencils, obviously if you're doing fine art, that's not going to be your jam, but based on the price, the quality, what have you, like, there ain't nothing. I've got a couple sets of Crayola. I've got like the skin tone set. Like that's a great set. So
Yeah, so yesterday I actually bought these right here.
Ooh, I got that. Yep. No, that's a great.
Yeah, because I've watched many of your videos and how you do skin tone,
Yeah,
and I was looking through all of the pencils yesterday, and I'm like, I'm not going to
it's
be able to do that.
yeah. That is the one disadvantage of even like the big fancy 100 pencil set from Crayola. Even that's sort of lacking some of the skin tones. So I recently picked that box up to fill it out because I was only using it for some of my adult coloring where it was like flowers and stuff. My Joanna Bassford coloring book. Where I set it. It's around here somewhere. Here it is. So this is when I'm just coloring for myself what I color. But like this whole page is Crayola. So I mean there's a lot you can do with Crayola. Like anyone who says otherwise is full of shit. They're just not artist grade. But so anyway, yeah, if you're looking at Crayola pencils and you're like, oh, I need something fancier, you don't. You can get stuff like this with Crayola. So anyway. But I did get the skin tone set. I am trying to find some pages in my collection of stuff I've printed. Um, and I'm gonna try to plan like a couple skin tone videos because that's often when people ask me about the coloring. What they ask, about skin tones. They ask about gold. Um, so
Yeah,
so
I'm always fascinated when watching your videos and there's gold, and I'm like, how is she going to do this? And then you put like yellows and browns together, and I'm like,
yep.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that's sort of. I mean, because Prismacolor has a gold metallic pencil, but it's not really. It doesn't get that gold effect that you want. Like it's gold, it looks gold and metallic, but it doesn't. And there are a lot of tutorials tutorials on YouTube on how to do sort of a gold effect. A lot of them though are based on realism, like realism, like i.e. You're doing a piece of art that you want to look realistic. And of course, with old coloring books, that I do, like it's somewhere in between that. Like my goal is for it to look like like with Princess of Power. My goal is always to kind of get that old box art look. So I have a couple, vintage Princess of Power boxes. I've got like the Sea Harp, and the card, and I've got a couple of their and whenever Kenner was doing Glamour Gals, Mattel was like, oh no, you don't. And they came out with Dazzle dolls, which were the same, like 4 inches. Um, and they have a lot of sort of that Barbie Shira art style. And I was looking at it, I'm like, oh, when they're doing the gold blonde hair and the gold, it's just like yellow with like some reds and some dark, reddish browns. So I just sat and played with it until I finally kind of figured out what worked for me with what I had. So to get sort of that Mattel toy look, since so much of what I do is Mattel based. So yeah, like, um, yeah, and I sort of knew all this back when I was in college and taking art classes, but when you don't practice for years, you forget sort of color theory and how it all works. Um, half of art is, half of the way color works is just sort of tricking your eye. And that's all realism is, as far as, in art. It's the way you do the brush strokes and the way you combine the colors so that when your eye looks at it, you're tricking the eye into thinking it's realistic. So, anyway, sorry, there's your art theory for the week, everyone. Every so often, you get actual art. And hello, Nolan. Welcome. Nolan, I don't know if you know this or not, James, but you have not arrived in ToyTube live streaming until Nolan pops up in your chat. This is
Okay.
like Nolan is like what cements that you have arrived. So you welcome. You have officially arrived because Nolan is in a chat that of the stream you're on. So
Yes.
yep. And Nolan is one of the nicest guys. So when he shows up in chat, it's going to be good people. So anyway, and every so often his I don't want to say better half because that's dismissive. His delightful half, Ria, will show up. So at some point, I bet we see her today. So. Da-da-da. You're welcome as always. I like, there are so many horrible people that show up in chats that when people who are not horrible show up in chats, you just have to call it out. Like be like, hey, this person does not suck. This person is why we have great communities on certain corners of YouTube. So have you seen Superman yet? I think you said you did or didn't, and I'm spacing because it's early.
I have not seen it yet.
Okay.
I've seen everybody go back and forth on the internet,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, do you guys not know the story of Superman?
Yeah, it's really well. I think for me, it was when Ding Kane was like, "They're making him woke." It's like, are you play? They even dug up a clip from when he was playing Superman, where like they were trying to get Superman's green card and his immigration. Like literally, Dean Kane dressed as Superman from like Lois and Clark, and like we're from the government. We need your green card status. Like you're an alien. You're not from here. We need your social security. Like literally everything he was complaining about. Like they're trying to make him woke by doing it literally from a clip in a scene he was in. So
My philosophy is just go see the movie.
yeah.
It's summer. Eat some popcorn, enjoy yourself, and leave it at that.
Well, it's just so odd. Like one of the like I have stopped watching any sort of if it's a movie I'm interested in and want to see, I don't watch any videos about it anymore. If it's something I'm not going to go watch, I'll watch those. And then sometimes I actually end up watching the movie because they're like, it's woke trash. I'm like, oh, that's exactly what I watch. Thanks. I would have never gone and seen the live action Little Mermaid a few years back, but I was told so many times how it's woke trash and that as a ginger I should be offended that I was being replaced, and I was like, no, I'm good. I don't know any gingers with a fish bottom. Wait, never mind. On second thought, I take that back. Yeah, I didn't think that one through. Anyway, I don't know anyone who's a redhead and half mermaid. There we go. On the bottom half. Yeah, I think that one works.
Yep.
So yeah, no, so I don't know. It's just weird to me when, like, I did go see the new Snow White, and the new Snow White has some issues, but it wasn't the actress playing Snow White. It wasn't because they were trying to make it. In my humble opinion, the problem is Gal Gadot is not a good actress and has zero charisma, and was like wood. I feel like the first Wonder Woman movie was a fluke because she did pretty well in that one, but I've not seen her be good in anything else. So that's my Gal Gadot hot take. But I feel like the big part of what made the Snow White not work was she was not very good in it. So sorry, Gal Gadot.
She can't win them all, right?
Yes, she cannot. And none of them that she does win will ever be an Oscar. But she did one. She did. I liked Wonder Woman 84, and I see its flaws. That's one where I've definitely in my head rewritten it so that it works better. Um, but it wasn't terrible. I mean, like I watched. Um, I've seen far worse. You know, from DC as well. So
I was pleasantly surprised with Kristen Wiig.
oh shit, yeah. No, Kristen, like she's. I think people forget because she's so good at comedy that she can do more.
Hmm.
And I think that's part of where that movie failed was we needed to see her on screen turn into the cheetah, like an actual like werewolf transformation scene, because the way it happened, you don't even necessarily, if you don't know that she's supposed to be the cheetah, if you don't have that comic book knowledge, you don't actually even realize that's who she's fighting at the end. Just a lot of weird choices that they made in that movie that like I didn't get. Like I wonder at times if part of it was they were setting up a third movie where she would have turned into the cheetah in the third movie, and that they changed it because in reshoots or what. It was really weird to me the way that they sort of built her turning into a cheetah, but then she just is a cheetah. I don't know. I need a werewolf transformation scene. I think if they had given us that and a little less, give me the stones. Um, oh, that's good Joe. Hamming it up. A little less weird. Is this consensual? Is this not consensual? What's happening with this guy that's housing the ghost of Steve Trevor?
Right.
It's too many questions. I don't want to think about. And oddly, that's very cartoon. That's very comic book accurate, though, because there is a storyline where Steve Trevor is brought back to life, and his essence is put into somebody else, and then he dies again, and then they bring him back again. But he's from a different parallel universe, so it's different. But then the body that he was possessing comes back and is a villain. So yeah. So anyway, it's from the comics, but it's just it's not handled in a rapey way in the comics. So go figure. The 1970s comics less rapey than a modern day movie. So yeah. Oh yeah, the Skeleton Twins is great. Kristen Wiig is just great. I've never seen her be bad. I've seen her in bad movies, but I've never seen her be bad. Like my favorite Ghostbusters is her Ghostbusters. I love her. I love Leslie Jones. I love Kate McKinnon. I like Jenny McCarthy's cousin, Melissa McCarthy. Some of her movies not so great. She needs to pick better projects. Could you imagine Gal Gadot winning an Oscar? I cannot. He wouldn't have, but he wasn't there for it. So when he wakes up at the end because Steve Trevor is gone, he doesn't realize that he's been boning. You know, it's just weird. Like you couldn't do, and that's the thing, you couldn't do that storyline with Superman and Lois. Like if you flip that around where it was Superman and Lois, it would be a problem. And I'm not one of those people who are like, well, it's different. It's not. It's like consent is consent. And technically he was possessed, so he can't really consent. And it could have all been fixed by just not having that one scene where it's really heavily implied that they do the deed. And so, I don't know, just a very curious choice. When I feel like they didn't, and it's weird because as many millions and millions of dollars they spend on scripts and on all this stuff that nobody caught that was like maybe an issue. So I don't know. Anyway, not to jump on the soapbox. There we go. Now we have the dark and creepy cave, all complete. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that Toy Otter recently released some stuff where it's pretty much. I think he may have. I could be misspeaking. I could be wrong. At some point, I have to reach out to Toy Otter and see if he'll join me. I'm sure he would. I just, it's one of those things where there are people who are you really like and admire because they've done great work, and it's weird to ask them to come onto a live stream and color with you. Um, I'm sure he would do it if he has the time, but I'm pretty sure that he found something that confirmed that that was intended to be Steve Trevor. And so I could be wrong. I could be misremembering something, but I feel pretty confident at some point he said he had found something. Yeah. And this is the sort of with the Ghostbusters thing, this is a really important thing. Um I am not a huge Ghostbusters fan of the original movies. So when I went in, Ghostbusters for me has always been kind of meh. The concept of it was always better than I mean, in 1984 when we went to the movie, I did not have a good time. Rest of my family loved it, but exactly. Thank you, Derek, for reminding me that miracles can happen. I'm sure with Toy Otter, it would literally just be scheduling, right, and availability. It's not like he is a good guy. He's not gonna. You're not big enough for me. It's literally just gonna be trying to make it work out. So, um, but what was I gonna say? Yeah. I'm not a huge ghost. Like real Ghostbusters was not really my jam. The recent episodes of Toy Geeks was fun for that reason for me because I'm researching something I would have never researched otherwise. I did have a Slimer as a kid though. Slimer was the one toy I bought. I probably would have been more into it if Wave 1 had Janine. I would have probably wanted a Janine. But by the time they finally released a Janine, I was really not doing toys anymore. And it was one of the weird fright features where her face like dropped or whatever. Like she had the unhinging chin like a bizarre anaconda. So, but yeah, Ghostbusters just, and if the real Ghostbusters toy line had like Dana in it, like if there had been a Sigourney Weaver toy, I probably would have been into it. But it didn't have anything for me. And that's okay. Not everything is. I was not like as a kid. I was like, God dang these Ghostbuster toys. What's wrong with Kenner? I was like, I'll buy more GoBots. I think, but also that was right when I was starting to get out of toys. Like I hit middle school at like 1988. So by 1989, I was all music, boys, clothes, and books. That was the year I went really hard on VC Andrews.
Yes, I remember the VC Andrews talk.
I remember having to steal flowers in the attic. My mom had she had flowers in the attic, petals on the wind, and If There Be Thorns. And they were on her bookshelf, and those were books I was not supposed to read. They were too dirty. But also we lived in the country, and I didn't always go with them when they would drive into town for groceries on Saturday. So right before 8th grade, one of the days that they went to town, as soon as they left, I got flowers in the attic off of her bookshelf and started reading it because I'm like, if I finish reading it before they get back, she can't stop me. I did not finish it, obviously, because it's quite a bit of book to read in a day. But I got a bunch of it, and then I just hid the book. And then like a week later, I'm like, haha, I read it. You can't stop me. And she was just annoyed. And then I read the rest of them, and then when it was time for back to school shopping, I'm like, I need you to go to the bookstore, and I need my Sweet Audrina and The Seeds of Yesterday and Heaven and Dark Angel. And she was just... But those were my jam. As I've been rebuilding my library, I'm like, I've got Flowers in the Attic. I've got Petals on the Wind. I don't have, and I've got my I still have my 1988 copy of My Sweet Audrina. But I'm gonna fill in my collection. It's not that I have time, but I think I'm gonna start a second channel called Gen X Book Club, and I'm gonna reread all of those old trashy books that I loved. So, because I read a lot of trash, and I'm just like, I'm not finding videos. I like there are a lot of VC Andrews videos. Don't get me wrong, but some of the other stuff I read, I'm not finding anyone talking about the unhinged quality of these books that we used to read, and I should fix that. So. Well, also like when Derek Hoover did the episode of yesterday's as my producer's pick for Christopher Pike, he was having a hard time finding information about Christopher Pike, and I'm like, that's not acceptable. We can't have people thinking R.L. Stine wrote better young adult horror than anyone else, because no offense to the R.L. Stine people, but Christopher Pike was better.
So my sister and I were on opposite ends. She was R.L. Stine. I was Christopher Pike. So when he said we're doing an episode on Christopher Pike, I was like,
yeah,
I know that name.
Yep.
I used to read all of his books.
Same. And they would come out like either right at my birthday, right before summer vacation, or right when we were school shopping. So it was like 3 times a year those would come out. And so it was almost his heyday, there were 4 times a year because he was doing like 4 books in a year, which seems absurd amount of books now that I look back at it. And Christopher Pike did write all of his own stuff. Not like R.L. Stine, who had a ghostwriter, and that's why there was a Fear Street every other week. But so much of my high school memories was like, going into Walden Books, or, to find the new Christopher Pike so that I could read it in the 45 to 1 hour drive home from the city after we'd school shop or Christmas shop or whatever. So, but some of those books have not aged well, but again, it's time capsules of our culture from back then. I was watching a really good video the other night about Carrie, and the girl in it was sort of like, she's young, like she's like 25 tops. And I did, and was like, you're wrong about that. I was just like, let me listen to what the kids have to say, because like it's their world, we're just living in it now. And some of the stuff she said pissed me off, because I'm like, that's not how it was. But I'm like, but this is how it is now. So I listened to everything, and I did do this not quite a well, actually. And I'm like, well, as somebody who was there, keep in mind, this is what literature, like adult literature looked like. This is how we talked about plus size bodies. This was normal for the time. It doesn't make it right, but it's normal. Like, we were very dismissive of plus size people. And, Carrie has to get described as suddenly being more attractive. So people will care about her, because that's just how it was back then. But it was really cool. And she was like, and I was just like, the problem is this Carrie is a time capsule, and people keep trying to treat it. I'm trying to update it and modernize it. And it's like, you can't. It's okay to not modernize everything, guys. All right. So in honor of you, I'm gonna do, and I did the other one in toy colors, so I'm gonna do this Clemmer in Filmation colors.
In Filmation colors?
Yep. And this is my first Filmation color Glimmer ever, so hopefully I get it right. Let's see, so the leggings are blue, and then like an aqua for the belt and the chest. Well, it's more of an aqua blue, very pink hair, and then purple. So I'm looking, I so don't even know that, I'm so entrenched in toy colors that I don't even I'm having to look her up. So, so this should be pretty close.
Yeah, I actually have reference pictures off to the side, and I'm like, what does she look like?
Yeah, I've got at this point I've got like all of the toy colors memorized, but I've got Castaspella Filmation because but it's just, you know, like the chest, instead of sort of like a creamy canary yellow, it's blue.
Mhm.
And so Castaspella is pretty easy to remember between the two because it's just changing the one set of things, and then everything else is a bit more yellow. I mean, the original colors of all the Princess of Power stuff is more in line with Masters of the Universe. So, and since she's in the Stark Cave, I'm going to try to do a textury thing so it looks like a light effect. I don't know if it'll be successful, but we're going to try. But yeah, so anyhow. All right. Okay. So yeah, we did talk about. Are you going to go see Fantastic Four, or are you just DC?
I want to see Fantastic Four.
Okay.
Everyone is like, if you haven't watched everything before, or you have to be totally in. I'm like, I'm just going in to see a movie,
Right.
and if it ties to other stuff I've seen, great. If it doesn't, great.
Yeah. It's kind of why I stopped feeling invested in Marvel. I was tired of having to watch 20 TV shows and all the movies, and you know, I live a life where I watch as little of Chris Pratt as I can watch. So, like, I haven't seen a Jurassic Park movie since 1990. Well, I haven't seen a new one at the theater since 1998. I think is that when the Lost? No, 99. I think is when Lost World came out. And sorry for everyone that likes her, but I always have felt like Dallas Bryce Howard, as far as an actress, has always felt like Timu Jessica Chastain to me. But I will say she's been directing, and the stuff I've watched of hers that she has directed, I really like. So I think, like her dad, she's going to end up being more exciting as it, because I think her dad's a great director. I don't think he gets the props he should. Ron Howard, I feel like, directs some really solid work. I think that's part of it, though. It's not necessarily flashy, but like sometimes a movie just needs to be solid. Like it needs to be solid visually. It needs to be engaging. It doesn't necessarily need crazy camera work or whatever. So. Yep, no, I disagree. He's annoyed me since Parks and Rec. So I prefer to, you know, when he wasn't on everything. Hello, Rowdy Riles. Welcome. Lovely to see you. Rowdy will be with me here, not the 27th. So next week, real quick, I'll just, since Rowdy reminded me, next week it'll just be me. We're going to finish that Harley Quinn page I've been working on. And then we'll do another supervillain. I need to throw a post up. And then Rowdy will be here the week after. And then I'm still finalizing August, but Chris Plastic will be here. And I need to ping Andrew and see if he wants to color in August. Andrew, FYI, I'll ping you this week. But yeah, so lovely to see you, Rowdy. Can't wait to hang out with you on here as well. Yeah, he's never quite gelled. And I will say this is where I'm being parasocial, but when he left his wife and child, and the child has some special needs, and he left. I mean, like, I'm not saying you need to stay married to people forever. If a marriage isn't working, the marriage isn't working. But the way he just kind of pretends like they don't have a child that has special needs, routinely just pisses me off. So fuck that dude. There's my F-bomb for the day. Uh, uh, uh. So yeah. Rowdy, I have heard nothing but good things from people I trust about Superman. Like, the people not liking it are the people who are not going to like anything that's about being a good person or being kind or like doing the right thing. So, and there are people, somebody summed it up really good. It's like a lot of the people mad about the new Superman movie. They wanted him to, what is it, Outlander from The Boys? I don't watch The Boys, but there's apparently a like fascist Superman character on that show, and that's like what I've seen. And even Matt, my boyfriend, yeah, we'll stick with that until announcements are made. Even Matt was saying that's the problem. Like they're wanting him to be that character from The Boys instead of actually Superman. Whereas the character on The Boys is supposed to be, according to Matt, because I don't watch it, is supposed to be what Superman would be if he were evil. So anyway, so I'm excited. It's gonna be fun. I like a good. I'm not a huge Superman comic book fan, but I really like Superman movies. Like I can take that. So hello, speaking Wesley. Lovely to see you. I'm sorry. What did I just? I don't know. What did I just say? I think I talked around stuff. Yeah. If anything, status-wise were to change, it's when you buy a house with people, you need to do certain things to lock it down legally. So, legally stuff sometimes needs to happen, especially when you get older and you have to worry about power of attorney and what happens to the cats and that sort of thing. So, yeah. If anything like fancy were to happen, that would be officially announced. And if anything fancy happens like that, you'll know because I will buy. There's a person who does reproductions of Princess Leia's necklace from the end of A New Hope, the Caldarian waves. So I will post a picture of the Caldarian waves because that would be part of my outfit if I did something fancy. Exactly. Until announcements are made. Like I'm not, right. Perfect. Yeah, that. So yeah. Anyway. So yeah. How's your page going, James?
Going well. So.
Oh, that looks really good. Excellent. Nice. See, I remembered, guys. I don't always forget.
Right.
I don't always forget. Andrew has just gotten to the point. Andrew and Chris. Well, Chris sometimes has this set up so that you can see his page, but Andrew just holds stuff up now when he finishes and keeps going because he knows. That's funny. When Janessa J was here, she finished like 20 pages. I was like, oh my God, girl.
She did.
Girl.
I was like, okay.
Every time I looked up, she also, though, was using alcohol markers, I think. And markers do go a lot faster. That's why sometimes I use those on backgrounds. Or for lettering or whatever, because that makes stuff go a lot faster. You get a much more solid layer quickly. No, not me, not Allison. Allison would never misdirect the conversation elsewhere to get away from talking about stuff that is not time to talk about. I have, like, I don't know if I've ever read anything by Garth Ennis. Unless it's, like he did a Superman or a Batman or whatever. Thank you. So, anyway, that was not supposed to happen today, guys. All right, I think based on the blues, this will probably work for her pantaloons and her little collar thing, hopefully. So yeah. So you are married, is my understanding, or am I misremembering?
Nope, I am married. This year will be 10 years.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yes.
Congratulations. That's a huge accomplishment for, especially in the modern day, to make it an entire decade.
Right.
And obviously he supports your whole internet toy tube.
So I had been talking about jumping on YouTube because I was like, they're doing it. What do they have that I don't have? I can
Exactly.
do it. And I kept putting it off and putting it off. And he was like, you need to just do it.
Just do it.
And
Yeah.
so one weekend he just handed me the camera and he was like, film your toy video, walk around your room and show it off. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no. And he's like, just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah. So he's very supportive of it.
Excellent. And sometimes you just have, that's why, everyone's like, you do so many shorts. It's like I literally did shorts because I had built up in my head, well, if I don't have this and I don't have this and I'm not doing this, I can't really do full length videos. And I'm like, let me just start doing shorts. That's why for months and months, my only content was shorts because it was like, it was easy. But then you start doing it and then you start getting ideas. You start realizing how you can do it. My personal opinion is, as far as doing sort of YouTube, TikTok, whatever, whatever medium you want to do, about like 50-60% of it is just throwing the first thing out there and just jumping in and doing it, and improve your equipment, upgrade your equipment, whatever, as you go. I mean, I still mostly use my iPhone for stuff.
Yeah, for me, it was all about the editing because I had never edited a video before.
Exactly.
But through trial and error, I'm like, oh, I learned this. I learned
Yeah.
this. I'll use that in the next video. So I think it'll be fun to go back in like a year from now and watch one of my old videos and be like,
Yeah.
wow, okay.
Yeah, I'm coming up on 2 years and I'm making a special, finger quote, special 2 years on YouTube, where I basically go back and redo like my first 7 shorts, and just sort of going back and rewatching those videos. I'm like, oh my God, where's my lighting? Like I wasn't even taping pages down when I started. So like the page would move all over the video, but you just don't know. It's like you have to start doing it and you also have to figure out what visually pleases you. That's that's the only sort of real advice I'm going to give anyone about YouTube. Unless you blow up instantly and hit millions of subscribers and millions of views, make videos you want to watch. It makes it easier to edit them. It's something you would watch if you were watching YouTube. Make the stuff you want to see. And editing has become much easier. I hate editing as well, but it's a lot easier when I'm actually editing something that I want to watch, or I would watch if somebody else had made it. So that is my one piece of advice. It's a lot easier if you don't like editing or you're not comfortable with editing, if you're at least making something that you would want to watch. So, and again, unless you're making millions of dollars on YouTube, Mr. Beast, there's no point in sort of trying to chase an algorithm. Just make what you like. Like, people long term, you'll build a smarter, better subscriber base and people who watch your videos if you know, you're actually enjoying what you're doing and you're doing something that you yourself would engage with. So anyway, that's my advice. I'm enjoying your. I'm behind on your videos because life is crazy, but I've been enjoying just that because it's 100% you when I watch the video. I'm not gonna get your video if you know, like Jay's video when Jay does like a review or a unboxing or whatever. Like it's not anything gonna be anything like what you're doing. So, and that's what we need. We need more people who are not the same doing their videos. Oh, oh. Let's see. Happy Sunday, Kenzo. Kenzo in the house. And then Derek is agreeing. Just do it if you're bad or you think you're bad, you will get better. The first 3 episodes of yesterday's. You guys have a lot of podcasting history. So, like, the basics were there. You just had to you had to gel as a group. That's different than. Yep, exactly. iPhone is a great camera. And Alex, you 100% do. And Raya Black, hello, welcome. Nolan's amazing half. I'm trying to get away from better half.
Better half.
It's rude. It's dismissive. So, but also it feels weird to like the person that Nolan date. Like it's just no, we don't want to do that stuff. So yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. I mean, maybe the goal is just to not pair people off that way. Welcome to the modern world, Allison. Anyway, so I'm glad that you know, like, I'm glad you have supportive people who are like, do it, just do it. Like, not everyone has that. I can't think of anyone in my, like Derek. I mean, obviously Andrew's puppy is in all of his pictures, so obviously the puppy is as supportive as he can be.
Right.
There we go. All right, so the toy colors aren't bad. It's pretty close. All right. I just have to get used to them. They look weird, but it's not. It's normal. This is what her toy colors are. I've just never done them.
No, she was the one, the toy version of Glimmer. She had like the tight curls.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. And those are hard to find loose complete with the hair not being all ruined and jacked. And I have one Menton card, and her hair is completely perfect inside of the blister card, and I'm just like, ooh. My other one, the one that's meant with card, because I'm that collector when it comes to certain lines. Her hair is okay, but I also it's not my childhood. My childhood one, her hair is a wreck. She also survived flash flooding that was up in Copper's Cove, Fort Hood area when I had all my stuff stored up there. So she did go in the water for a little bit and had to get cleaned up and demudded, if you will. So
yeah, my mom found some of my old toys when she was moving, and she said, "Will you come get these?" And I went, and I was like, "Oh, that's what happened to all my She-Ra toys."
oh,
They all ended up with G.I. Jane haircuts.
oh yeah. What happened? I mean, you know, sometimes it's easier. Glimmer especially, like I remember being really frustrated by how like matted her hair would get just playing with her. Those tight curls. I mean, I get like they wanted to try to make her look different, and also some of the early filmation art indicates that originally Glimmer may have been intended to be a woman of color. So it is possible the super tight curly hair was a holdover from that. Like there's not a ton of like we have far less sort of behind the scenes, like what went into making some of these characters than we do with He-Man, right?
Mhm.
And it was my hope that with this being the 40-year anniversary, that more of that stuff would come out. I know Adam at Battle Ram has been doing what he can. It's just a lot of the people in charge of the She-Ra line are either no longer with us or really aren't. I know he's been trying to find and get in touch with Justine Danzer, as have I, who did a lot of the original design. Like she designed Bo and Cow and the original toy line before sort of Filmation got involved, when it was still Leela, Teela's twin sister. But my understanding as well as his is that she's pretty much reclusive and retired at this point, and kind of doesn't really do much chatting about stuff, which is too bad because there's a lot of information I feel like she has that would be really beneficial. So hopefully, with any luck, somebody will get a good complete interview with her about some stuff that is still questioned, so that we have that information, because to me the lore and the development of this stuff is pretty important. I feel like it's especially because it meant so much to us as kids. I like knowing sort of what went into it, what almost was, what could have been. And I have to think at some point she, if Filmation at some point had her as a, black, or it seems like the intention was that she would be a black woman. I could be wrong. It could be a different type of woman of color, but that's what it sort of looks like, and that would make the tight curls sort of during development make more sense. So, because unfortunately back then Mattel was a lot more was not as progressive as they have become. So they were very much, like they didn't even do Black Barbie until like what, the 70s. So I need to watch that documentary on the Black Barbie. I have very good things about that. Okay, so Leela. Originally, She-Ra Princess of Power did not really exist. So originally what happened was the Mattel team, the boys department who was making Masters of the Universe, started getting all this feedback that girls were going to the boys action figure aisle to get Teela and Evil Lyn. Especially Teela, because Teela came out first. I mean, I'm going to assume part of why Evil Lyn came was there was, and I can speak for this, there were a lot of little girls going and buying Teela figures. So because of that, the boys department had the idea to do a girls' toy line, or sort of an extension, more of an extension, like a new faction that would be more geared toward girls. And to that end, they brought in Justine Danzer, who had been working at Kenner on Strawberry Shortcake and Glamour Gals. I think what else? Anyway, she had been at Kenner developing a girls' action figure line, and it kind of got canceled. So some of her ideas she brought over. A lot of the original designs for Crystal Castle actually have Kenner stamps on them. So it looks like she was designing a line called Nova. I believe it was Nova or Andromeda. I have my notes, so I can't be 100% sure in the moment. But it was a girls' action figure line. Had Pegasuses, unicorns. And so they brought her over and had her do some designs. And the original concept was instead, it would be Teela's twin sister, Leela. And then over time that evolved into, originally She-Ra was sort of planned as He-Man's girlfriend. And then that quickly was, you know, like the whole Tila and He-Man were sort of a thing. And that sort of disappeared, but then they kind of smushed it all together. And the girls department kind of came in and took over and said, well, if you're going to be doing dolls, we're going to do those instead. And then it became Princess of Power. It got reworked. And, you know, like the hair play, because it doesn't appear that originally there would have been hair play. As far as I can tell from some of the designs. So, anyway. And then Justine Danzer did the original concepts of Catra, Bo, Cal. There's a sketch of Angela and Glimmer because they were originally the same character that she did. So, yeah. Anyway, at some point, if I ever finish all of my Princess of Power videos, that will all be up on the channel at some point. But, you know, I've got so many plans for videos. So, anyway, that's who Leela is. And it's not, your knowledge of lore isn't abysmal if you don't know, because it's not necessarily commonly known. You know, there are a couple documentaries that talk about it really briefly, and, you know, other than Battle Ram blog, I've not seen a lot of sources talking about that. Mattel doesn't really talk about that either, because a lot of that plays into sort of the behind the scenes politics at the time with the girls department versus the boys department. And I think some of that is why this sort of mythology of like She-Ra killed He-Man came to be, because I think there was a lot of bad blood that the girls team came in and swooped in. And for the first like year and a half, like She-Ra sales were really, really good. Like they sold a lot of She-Ra toys. But again, they shipped too many. They shipped too much. Like, I mean, I remember going to the store trying to find Wave 2, like, because I wanted Mermista and Perfuma and Peekaboo, and, you know, I could never find, had Sweet Bee and Entrapted, but I had to buy both of those at KB Toys, brand new, and we all know KB Toys was only good if it was an old toy line. And the new stuff was always expensive. So I spent a lot of money to get those two because I couldn't find them anywhere else. But you could find Angela and She-Ra and Catra, and it seems like they overshipped it, because I would always find Angela. And you can tell because when you go on eBay and look for them, you're going to find a lot of the Wave 1 Frosta. They shipped a lot of but they were going to spin Frosta off in Wave 2 and give her a whole family and a whole, like, a villainous. I believe Andrew has already released his video on some of that, so go check out Gady's Toys. And if it's not up yet, it will be at some point. So yeah, so there you are. All right. How is your page coming?
Good.
Oh, very nice. Oh, it's really good. You're almost done, aren't you?
Yes. But I printed out a lot of different pages, so.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, I usually go for, well, I was about to say, I usually go for, it's you know. You know. Yeah, we usually go for about 2 hours. I'm almost done with Glimmer, so I might start picking out one of those other ones. But, or not, it depends. It depends on how I figure out this glow effect. But, so anyway, yeah, that's the story. That's the story of She-Ra. Turn your page when you hear that. Turn your stupid page. All right, let's see. Next question. If you could bring back any toy line that's not currently brought back yet, what would you bring back?
Gosh. So I know that Ramen Toys did their own version of it, but I would say Centurions. I never had those growing up, um, and it's very hard to get a complete version of any of the characters now.
Yeah.
And so that and probably a spinoff of GoBots. I would bring back Rock Lords.
Ooh, that would be cool.
Yeah.
The only rock lord I had was the gold one. We could never find any of the other ones.
Yes, that would be actually. Check this out.
Yep, that was the one we had.
Yep.
So cool. Yeah, though obviously I wanted Solitaire, but never could find Solitaire. I should
Yeah, we
look
could.
her up and see.
Yeah, we could never find those in store, and I've looked at a couple of them on eBay, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe
Are they spendy on eBay?
a little bit.
Okay. GoBots are so weird because it's like some of them are, and it makes no sense. I feel like some people don't understand what they have on eBay sometimes because I'll find mint on card GoBots from time to time. I haven't bought any yet, but I'll find them mint on card where it's like 50 to $100, which makes perfect sense. And then somebody will have a loose GoBot that's missing parts. It's like $90. I'm like, you get that's a broken toy. Like it's missing parts. What are you doing?
You're like, what are you doing?
What is happening here, Carl?
Yeah, when I found recently, I found a loose version of Scooter mixed in with a whole bunch of Transformers, and I'm like, oh, this is not a Transformer. How dare
Right,
you? But
right.
I'm definitely buying this.
Yeah, it's weird. And I get if you didn't sort of grow up in it, maybe you didn't know. But it's just so weird. Like I get more offended when people are charging too much for something that's not worth it, because it does sometimes make it hard when go to a yard sale or whatever, because people will price stuff because they went and looked it up on eBay, and they'll find the one person who's overpriced it, and they're like, oh, this is worth like $150. It's like, sir, that one is mint on card. The bubble is perfect. You got a broken ratty ass GoBot right here. That ain't worth like $20, or try again. It's just weird. I was talking when I was up in Portland last at Dr. Tong's. I was chatting with them, and he sort of, he sells, of course, like he's one of the people who buy toys and then sell them on eBay. But he was saying like he will run into that when people want to sell him collections. They'll come in with like busted up, raggedy ass toys, and because they looked it up on eBay and found it sort of mint on card, they'll like beautiful, pristine. They'll think it's worth hundreds of dollars, and it's like, sir, that's not worth $5 because it's completely broken and the paint is scuffed and it's missing parts. Like where the weapons, like it's really weird where people just think because it's vintage, it's worth a lot of money, and it's like it's not how it works. I miss the days on eBay where, like in the late '90s, early 2000s, when people did not know what they had, and you could find a good deal. And people are like, I remember I bought a mint on card bow for like $30 in like 2008 because the person didn't know what they had. So they're like, weird Barbie toy.
And you're like, sold.
I'm like, I'll buy it. It's the only way I can be assured that I will have the headband on a bow. Only way. Oh yeah, her eyes. And then I think technically Glimmer's eyes are supposed to be blue. But she's in a cave. We're gonna put some magenta in those eyes. And then little purple. She is making it glow. There we go. Yeah, I don't know. I hate that's what it's like. I both love and hate eBay. I to the point where I like when somebody knows exactly what they're selling on eBay, so that I can be assured that I'm gonna not have to buy something because that I want from my collection because it's overpriced because they think they've got. It's like when you see a Power of the Force slot and it's like $500 for 3 figures. They're all meant Star Wars. It's like, sir, you're looking at the wrong Star Wars.
Yeah, when we did the Power of the Force thing back in May, I was like, I do not have any Star Wars action figures. So I went to our local toy store and I went in and I was like, do you have Star Wars figures? And he's like, yes, over here. And I'm like, cool. And they were like $2-3. And I'm like, I paid more for these when they first came out
Yeah,
than I'm paying for now. Okay.
yeah. They're pretty inexpensive still. I'm trying to, even though I don't need them, I'm trying to put together a mint on card set of the first couple of waves, the orange cards and the Shadows of the Empire, because I have all of them. And when we did those for Toy Geeks, it was right when I was unpacking all of that, so I was able to like have most of it for the episode, but then I was like, it would just be kind of cool to have because they're so inexpensive. What I am finding on eBay is that a lot of the Wave 1 stuff is still going for pretty cheap, but often the cards are messed up. So it's taking longer to put a mint on card collection together for Wave, the orange cards of Power of the Force, just because a lot of the bubbles are not in great shape, or the cards are bent or whatever. So I might end up spending more than $2 or $3 per figure. But again, it's like a really specific. I want the orange cards. I want them to be really nice cards. They're gonna go on the wall. They're not too open. So. But there have definitely been a couple lots where people are like have busted up Power of the Force toys that they think are just worth hundreds of dollars. We're gonna put little Timmy through college. I'm like, yeah, no. Not gonna happen. That's what I think. Like, I remember my mom saying that. She was like, why then? I'm like, in 2 or 3 years, you can go to graduate school with, like with how much they're gonna be worth. And so a little bit, I think it felt like that at first because I remember, sort of when you couldn't really find Princess Leia at first, those were going for like $50 to $100. Like I flipped a few because I had a problem and picked up a couple, and I remember flipping a couple orange card Leias before it got reissued and then it showed up right when the special editions were released. That all started showing up again. And then they of course got released on green cards with a holographic sticker, and then suddenly they weren't special anymore. But I had made my money, so it was good. I capitalized on the capitalism. But yeah, so I don't know. It was in the early days. I think I made some money off Power of the Force that maybe other people didn't, because I picked up extras from the get-go and like would flip them if I had extras, and then use it to buy more vehicles. And because I was all in on the vehicles until episode 1, but I also had just bought a house in Austin. At that point, like vehicle, like I've already, like that's really cool that it's a repost, reposed, but I've already got that version. I don't need it with a slightly different stance. I'm good. Oh look, it's young Obi-Wan Kenobi without the cloak. I've already got one with the cloak, and the cloak comes off. We're good. So there was a lot of that. So it was easy sort of to cut back when I needed to cut back. Let me rephrase it. I was able to let go quicker. It wasn't easy. There was still the like I must have them all. And then sometime during episode 2, I was just like, I'm good. But I was also up in the Pacific Northwest at that point. Money was super tight after I ran through all my .com money. So
I think that the episode 2 figures for me, just because they were all posed in like these weird stances, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling it.
Yeah, that was a lot of it too. Like I didn't buy most of the Jedis because it was like they were just weirdly posed. Like I hate that. Like, and even during the Power of the Force days, there were times where I was really not happy about sort of the extra posing and stuff. This doesn't seem necessary, guys. All right, there we go. I finished this one. I'm going to quickly just embiggen it. There we go.
Very nice.
Yeah, and I used some paint pens to do the help sell the glow effect. So, and then let's quickly. Did you finish your cast of Stella?
I did.
All right, let me solo layout you really quick. Very nice. Looks really good. I like the hair. I like that you did not just do it all one color. Very nice. All right, so yeah, we've got like 13 minutes left. Obviously, I'm not going to finish whatever I'm starting, but I'm going to might as well work on another page so we can hang out.
Sure.
No reason to cut our time short. It's because I didn't get super detailed with the rocks. So, when I get super detailed with rocks in the background, then it takes forever. And then, obviously, again, not going to finish, but I'm going to pick up this Double Trouble in Cow. Because the Double Trouble, for a really long time, was my favorite character. I was always bummed she wasn't on the cartoon.
Yeah, I think for me, out of all the characters, Frosta is probably my go-to.
She was really cool. I remember we didn't find her in stores until back to school. And this is how ingrained it is, Frosta, right? She was one of the last, she and Cow were the last two to sort of come out. And we found her for back to school. It was back to school time, but we also had to go to North Louisiana. My grandfather had like a big truck with a camper on it, and he had lent it to us for a vacation. So we had to take that back to him. And when we stopped at Walmart on the way, I finally found a Frosta. So it was really, I just remember really vividly sitting at the table in the camper, playing with Frosta, while my brother played with a He-Man figure, and my mom had set up one of those little radio TVs, and it was like MASH or whatever the hell was on in the afternoon. But Frosta was cool. And I figuring out how to make the wand whistle. And so, because it was not as easy as the back of the card made that look. You had to blow just so to make it go. Oh my gosh. Yep. Yep. You guys get to make your own joke on that one. And I trust you to make a good one. But yeah, Frost is cool. Yeah, Mattel apparently did. They planned a whole like she would her sister, her mother, her father. There's a villain volcano, and her like boyfriend lava. It was like lava, but with an R, so like a play on lover. And the original the volcano playset, it really seems like got repurposed into Crystal Falls, and because it had like the bubbling, the water would bubble up in it. So it seems like Mattel had really big plans for Frost. It's really curious to me that they didn't follow through with any of that, because Frosta was really popular. I always wonder whenever all of the news broke about like their Wave 2 Frosta, the Frosta extension with like a She-Ra and Catcher Snow variant, like how that would have gone. Like, but then we may not have got Perfuma. So. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, thank you.
I don't care. Speaking of moistly, it doesn't matter how much, as long as you're having good time. And happy birthday, by the way.
Yes, happy birthday.
Like, I don't know. I feel like it's mature to treat yourself to fun things or enjoy whatever people gave you for your birthday. I think
Exactly.
maturity, as sort of it's talked about, is kind of overrated. It just tends to mean you don't have a lot of fun and your hobbies are boring. It's like if you pay your bills, your bills are paid, you've got food on the table, you're taking care of business. Like, I think that's mature. Everything else is fun. So. All right. There we go.
Did you ever say who your favorite She-Ra character was?
It varies. So I have so many. First, Double Trouble was one of the first ones, but that's literally like the way it worked was I got She-Ra first, because that was pretty much the only one you could find at stores originally, and then we found Double Trouble at Kmart. So my first two She-Ra figures were She-Ra and then Double Trouble, and then later I found at Walmart Angela, Bo, and Catra. So I got all of those the same day, and that summer I busted my butt the entire summer. I hate kids, but I babysat, and I would collect cans. I took a job at my uncle's body shop. They wanted to do a garden, so that it looked presentable when people would bring their cars in. And it had like a big lawn, so like there was plenty of place. So I was like, no, I was 11. I was 11 and working at a body shop, digging up the front lawn and planting flowers, and I made $50, which is pretty good in 80s money.
Mm-hmm.
Under the table, of course. But so I bought everything that summer. So Double Trouble was my favorite originally. And then Castaspella was my favorite for a long time, because she had red hair like I did, and she was a witch. I always did, like, I've never seen witches really as bad guys. Like, they've always to me been really cool. So it was like Double Trouble and Castaspella and Wave 1 were my favorites. I liked Frosta, but like it was more about something about the fact that Double Trouble was a spy was really cool. And then Castaspella, the magic thing. And then Wave 2, Year 2, Perfuma and Mermista. Like, they were just, I love Perfuma because she was so girly. She's like the most girly action figure in the entire Princess of Power line. It's like she's pink, she has a flower, she smells like that crappy Mattel perfume that you could got that came with Perfume Barbie. And then, like, at one point there was like a one of those Barbie heads that you could make perfume with, and the perfume all smelled like perfume. It was just the same perfume. But she, like she was soft and pretty and blonde, and on the cartoon she was funny. Um, and then Mermista was a mermaid, and I thought she was really cool. And then Wave 3, the only one I had as a kid from Wave 3 was Natasha, but she was also it was the last action figure I bought as a kid. Like I was in 8th grade at that point, probably a little too old. So, but she was also my favorite because one, she was my last one, but also she was, the only black character we got. And my good friend Nika, she and I were really, really close. I remember her being. She didn't necessarily complain about it. That's the wrong. But I remember her being really bummed that everyone in Princess of Power was white, and she didn't feel. So it's even though she and I weren't really playing toys together anymore. I just remember getting it and being like, "Oh, this is really cool." Like, if only she had been in the first wave, then Nico, and I could have played Princess of Power more.
Yeah.
So and she's still one of my favorite characters. I wish Origins had at least, would at least give us Natasha and Spinnerella. Wookie, because those are so hard to find. So. That's really cool, speaking Wesley. I cannot say the same thing. I've been making people buy me action figures for my birthday since 1995. But it's a really cool feeling, though, when you haven't gotten them for. It was really cool starting in 1995 when I made people do that. I don't know. It's there are certain things. I know. Again, I know. Like, oh, we're adults now. Be adult. But I think there's something really special for me, and this is part of why I'm on ToyTube. Talking about old toys and coloring and doing all these things. But there was something for me as a kid, and I'm going to assume for you, James.
Mm-hmm.
There was something just magical every time you opened a figure. Like every figure for me as a kid was like it was new adventures, it was new stories, it was new there were new things I could do. And it's just like every character, at least when you were opening it, was special. So it's just like, even now as an adult, like when I open something, there's still that rush of like more stories, more this, more that. So.
Yeah, speaking of that, this morning I opened the latest wave of superpowers.
Ooh.
I found them all on the shelf yesterday when I was out shopping, and I was like,
which is this the Superman wave?
This is the one that has Black Suit Superman,
Ooh.
the Unmasked Batman, the old school Robin, and the old school Flash.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and so I opened them this morning, and I was just like, this is so cool.
Yeah, it's exactly like superpowers was like that. I remember because obviously Wonder Woman, right? It took a while because again, like they didn't all show up on shelves at the same time. But I remember the hunt for Wonder Woman, like as a kid, just how exciting. And okay, I guess I'll get Hawkman while we're trying to find Wonder Woman. But I don't know, just there's just something about it. It's that whole idea of like the promise of like
it's kind of
unknown adventure.
Yeah, it's kind of like, this is that feeling when you had no worries.
Mm-hmm.
And the world was just amazing and everything was new.
Or even if you have, well, even if you did have worries, it's like it was an escape from those worries for a while.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of why adult collecting is what it is. Like, it's still sort of, for a lot of us, sort of escape, and we get to turn off that part of our brains for a little bit. Oh, we are at 2 hours, guys. All right, where are you at?
So I have bow and cowl.
Oh, excellent. That lines up. And I am on double trouble and cowl. I'm going to finish her other leg, so that when it is time to finish this, I don't have to try to remember what color I was using. But then we'll go ahead and wrap up. Because, I've got so much that I've got like 30 different greens that are almost the same color. There we go. All right. Both of the legs. All right, and we are at, there we go. Nope, wait. Wait.
Wait.
I need a little more shading right here. Right now. There we go. Yeah, I'll do that on live streams. I'm like, there we are. When it's just me, I'm like, okay, here we're done. No, wait, never mind. Okay, this time for real. All right, so I'm gonna embiggen you really quick. All right, there we go. And that's again, I like how you're doing the different reds. Got a flair for it. And then where can the people find you?
So I am here on YouTube. I'm also on Instagram, all under Mint with Card. I think, I don't know, I'm using a new editing software, so I think a video is going to be coming out tomorrow, or it has already posted. I can't really tell. But it's the Masterverse Blade review.
Excellent.
And I've got some good old Todd coming up.
Oh, Todd.
We're going to look at the Final Suit Riddler figure. And then I'm going to do a G.I. Joe review.
Excellent. Well, so everyone go, and again, as mentioned earlier, I made a comment on one of your posts about your your Snake Mountain background. Anyone who can find it and take a screenshot of that comment, send it to me on Instagram or Blue Sky, and I will send you something. So, what will I send you? I don't know. Maybe I'll find an original. Maybe I'll color a specific page just for you. But anyway, find it, send me a screenshot, subscribe to Mint with Card, watch some of his stuff. You're making great stuff. People need to watch it. And I will send you something. So, yeah. Let's see. Oh, yeah, where am I? Let's see. This week there will be shorts, because there are always shorts-ish. And then tomorrow I've got a video, because it's Monday. Tomorrow on Monday will be a Barbie and the Rockers 1986 coloring book flip through, and then I'm going to color a page. So shorts this week will have some Barbie content. On Wednesday, Wednesday, Princess of Power, She-Ra, more coloring pages from the Who's Who book. So 4 more 5-minute videos, Color and Chill Spectacular. There's also a Miss Pac-Man short dropping this week. Then on Friday, a Cast a Spell, a Color and Chill. A Dungeons and Dragons short on Saturday. And on Saturday also for, ironically, because CJ just mentioned it. Here we go. A 1976 Kenner $6 Million Man toy booklet. I've scanned it, and there's a video that will hit on Saturday. Next Sunday, I will be here by myself. working on some DC supervillains. We're gonna finish Harley Quinn, and then we'll start a new villain. And I'll try to get a poll up on the community tab for people to vote on who I should color. So, on that note, any last thoughts, James?
Yes. Thank you for the Barbie fashion videos that you put out.
Thank you.
Going back and reliving like the 80s in Barbie fashion is amazing. I'm like,
Well,
I was watching the one yesterday and I was like, yes, yes, no, yes,
yeah,
yeah. And
it's
then
funny.
when the kins pop up, I'm like, I have that. I can put that together. I
Yeah,
can put that together. And I'm like, thanks. Now I have
it's
outfits for the
interesting
week.
how much of sort of because I started with 76, but sort of when I got to the 79 through like 83 will be next month, I think. Yeah, because I just did 82, but I'm working on 83 for next month. And it's just how much of the fashion is like sort of very similar to what we're seeing right now. And I'm like, it really is that part of the 80s, isn't it? So anyway, all right. Well, go subscribe to Mint with Card if you have not. Watch some stuff. Send me that screenshot when you find the comment. First person to send it to me is the one who wins, and I'll announce it somewhere. Next Sunday on stream, I'll let whoever know. And on that note, we're gonna head out. Go see Superman because I've heard from people I trust that it's good. And have a nice summer film. So go see something that'll make you feel good. Everything's kind of bleak and depressing. Go see something fun.
Yes.
All right. And on that note, I'm Allison Troy, and we'll see you in the next one.